Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. Today we're with Matt Dennis and Michael Stepp of Handlebend in O'Neill, Nebraska, where they make handcrafted copper mugs and use their space to bring new, creative, entrepreneurial ideas to life. They're sharing how the resurgence of the Moscow mule inspired an accidental business that eventually brought them back to their hometown. Plus, how they've navigated an ever-changing business, how they refined their process and streamlined production, the move to their current building and their vision for this big space, plus what it means for their small town to have this kind of space to build community. This is a fantastic episode, and I know you're going to be inspired. Before we get started, I want to give you a heads up that we've got a sale coming your way. It's our Black Friday sale over at Branded by Rural Revival, where we offer our web design kits at half off. And I want to tell you why people love our website design kits. They're easy to edit, they're fully customizable, and they are 100% DIY. This means that with the help of our tutorial videos, you'll learn step by step how to edit on your own so you can have the freedom as a small business owner to update your own website whenever you need. It's truly a win-win for you and your business. We only do this sale once a year, so don't miss out. Go to brandedbyruralrevival.co to find the design kit that's right for you. And now, here we go with Michael and Matt. All right, well, we're here today with Matt Dennis and Michael Stepp of Handlebend in O'Neill, Nebraska. Guys, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for making the trip.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much I love what you're doing, so I'm really excited for this conversation. Let's start out by getting to know you both a little bit. Are you both from here?
Yeah,
Yes.
We are both from here. Michael moved to O'Neill in like 5th grade, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
summer between 5th and 6th grade, which for a little kid is a terrible time to move to a new town because it's summer. And so you don't know anybody and you got to wait till school starts to meet people. Spent a lot of time on my bicycle by myself that summer.
Yeah, nobody wanted to hang out with the new kid. But we eventually accepted him. So, and my family moved to O'Neill when I was like 5.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is
Yep.
where you grew up. Talk about this idea for Handlebend and how it all came about.
Accidentally, I like to say. So Matt and I being friends since grade school, all through junior high and high school, this is all in retrospect, but through junior high and high school, Matt and I found ourselves building things together all the time, working on projects in the shop, working on our pickups together, turned 16, putting stereos in our trucks and all that stuff that small town teenagers do. Then moved to college, and we both went to smaller colleges for sports, and about halfway through college, junior year, ended up down in Lincoln at the University of Nebraska together and shared a house together, kind of a bachelor pad.
Okay.
Through those years, the Moscow Mule cocktail was kind of resurging, I would say, in pop culture. Like, I had never heard of one before, and they were just kind of starting to become all the rage again. Like, all the bars had, the version of a copper mug that you're probably familiar with, the little brass handle and bubble. And so anyway, we kind of always were building stuff and throwing parties and that kind of thing, and decided we needed a set of mugs for our bachelor pad. This was back, I think Amazon was still just selling books.
Okay.
eBay was kind of the online marketplace, and did a bunch of research and found a set of 4 copper mugs for, I don't know, $45 a piece. Pretty good money back then for a bunch of college kids, and ordered them, and they showed up in the mailbox, and they were like stainless steel on the interior, and then just had like a faux copper plating or whatever. And that was the whole thing, is you're supposed to drink the mules out of copper.
Yeah.
So we boxed them up and sent them back, and we're pretty disappointed. Well, rewind a little bit. My dad's trade or career is in the commercial refrigeration and HVAC. trade. And so I always worked with him in the summers, and there's just a part of life. Like there was always a never ending pile of scrap copper down at the shop, So I was home for a weekend and decided I was just going to build my own mug, and started hacking up, old used copper and cutting and welding or brazing it together and kind of fashioning it into a mug. It took me all weekend to get the thing formed and then to get it to not leak.
Okay.
And when I was done, like I was obviously very, very proud of it. Looking back, it's like the ugliest mug ever.
And this was refrigeration copper, not plumbing copper, so we're clear.
Yeah, used refrigeration, not used plumbing copper. But so took that thing down to the bachelor pad, and there's just one mug, and I was pretty proud of it, and everybody's obviously jealous of it. It was kind of a young adolescent flex or party trick or whatever. Thing held like almost a whole bottle of vodka. So Matt, my best friend, wanted a set of mugs, and I'm like, man, you can have some, but you're building them. So we came back home another weekend, a couple months later or something, and spent a big day building 4 mugs for Matt. At which point I'm like, how's this work? This is my idea, and I got 1 and you got 4. So we rounded my set out to 4, and then through college, just they were at our bachelor pad, and we had parties with them, and everybody wanted them, and it was just kind of like, no, this is our deal. Like, you can't have them.
Yeah, for reference, this is like 2008,
Okay.
2007.
2007, 2008. So we get out of college and enter that era of your life where you got 4 or 5 weddings a summer or more, but that was 4 or 5 that we were, co-friends with or whatever. And so that was kind of became our thing. We would come back home for a weekend and build a set of mugs. And then that would be kind of our joint gift to some of our closest friends over 2 or 3 summers, and ended up with mugs in cities, like Houston or Salt Lake, Omaha, Denver. And over a few years, started getting lots of feedback. Like everybody's neighbor wanted a set of mugs, or brother-in-law, or they had a backyard party, and the whole neighborhood saw these mugs, and everybody wanted them. You guys got to start building these and selling them. People don't care what they'd give a lot of money for them. And Matt and I both had pretty reliable jobs and careers, and we were working. Well, at that point, we were both working with our dads in family businesses, so it's not something. It's like we don't really need the extra headache of a business or a side hustle.
But you were both back here?
Yep, by that point.
By that point, yeah. When we were, I spent 7 years in Omaha or Lincoln. And,
Okay.
You've
spent 5, right at 5, I think, down in the city. Omaha and Lincoln after college.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But by that point, we had both come back here to kind of start thinking about raising families and stuff to our hometown. So, yeah. So we have a buddy. I always have to tell this part. We have a buddy from college that always referred to Matt and Mike as a mullet. They would say Matt's the business up front and Mike's the party in the back. And the reason that's relevant is because we were both sitting in this kind of situation where we had all this feedback. Didn't really want or need to start a company. And, over a year's time or whatever, Matt's gears are turning, and he's like, I think we should try this, and here's how.
Yeah.
So we spent about a year figuring out, these things were extremely labor intensive, still are, but like there was no way you could ever scale it or really even charge what it would take to make money at selling these things. Uh-huh. So we spent about a year refining that, kind of refining our manufacturing processes, and invented a couple tools, sourced some specialty tools and things like that from around the United States that would help kind of streamline production if we would ever need to scale this thing. And over about a year of that, spent $1,500 on a website, which was a huge decision. Felt like a bad move, like $1,500, man. Should we be doing this? And launched our website, and that was September 2017.
Yep.
And by some strokes of luck and some strokes of being able to run with good luck, we have sold more copper mugs every year than the year before since 2017.
Amazing. So were you surprised in the beginning with the response?
The response was actually probably what we kind of expected, and from the beginning it was very slow.
Okay.
And then within the first couple years, there were several instances of craziness. Like
Yeah.
we right when we started the website, we knew right away that we wanted to do like very quality photography and kind of fake it till you make it
Yeah.
type deal. Like we priced these from the beginning at north of $100 a cup. Like we knew we had to somehow portray that these things were worth $100 a
Yeah.
piece. In that process, like a couple people found us on social media, and we had one gentleman just reach out on Instagram and say, hey, I am with the Omaha World Herald. I want to just come out here and interview you guys. I came across your Instagram and checked out your website and saw your story and that kind of thing. We're like, okay, that's cool. Like, come on out. And he came out and spent a day, him and his wife, or a better part of an afternoon, and just asked questions. At that time we were in Michael's dad's HVAC shop, taking over a corner of the heated shop area, and showed him the shop. Kind of told him our story on why we started it and why we threw up the website, and made him a mule, him and his wife a mule, and sent him on his way. Cool couple, very nice. And then it just kind of nothing ever happened with it. Like, I think it was 3 months later, nothing had ever happened to it with it, and hadn't heard from him. And Michael was actually on vacation, and I think they were in the backpacking, and so they had no reception or anything. And I woke up one morning to my phone like blowing up, and there was a bunch of orders from the website, and like a bunch,
A lot.
and I'm like very confused. Like, start trying to figure out what's going on, and found out that morning that the story that Matthew Hansen had came out to do landed on the front page of the Omaha World Herald on a Sunday.
So that's, for reference, the state's biggest media publication, and then the Sunday World Herald would be the biggest, like, day of the week of that publication.
Yeah.
And it was on there was no page in front of our story. Like, it was our picture, like on our mug, our actual face mugs.
Amazing.
On the front page.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure how I feel about this.
yeah, it was very weird. And so, the orders just kept coming in all morning. Like, for reference, I think we had done, until that article launched, we had done like 30,000 in sales. And
In about 8 months, 9 months time.
Probably something like that. And within that morning, it was well over that amount of in sales. And this is a time period where we hadn't really streamlined the process of building these things. So like building that many mugs was like, how are we going to do this?
And did you still have your other jobs too?
Yeah, so we had been, if we would have a little run on mugs or orders or something, everything at that point was pretty much local or like one place removed from connections and local network, right?
We were building everything. We were building everything in the mornings, and then we'd go to our jobs, and then we would put the kids to bed and then come back and build.
So on those
in the
runs, we're
evenings.
hitting that up at like 6 a.m. And I get out of, going back in the story a little bit, I was on vacation and was in the backcountry and get back that evening. So it must have been Sunday evening, and turn my phone on and it just like goes into meltdown mode. And like the only thing I could think of is like, Matt's going to be so mad. Like, I've been out of reach, he's probably back home freaking out. And I called him and I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not there. He just starts laughing. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out when you get home. and get home, and we're just like, the big question is, what are we going to do, right? We have all these people's money in our bank account. And we don't have back stock. Like, we were building mugs at 6 a.m. And Matt's like, well, we're going to start coming to the shop at 4 a.m. until we get this done.
Yeah.
And so over about 2 months, that's what we did.
Well, and we also, like, Mike got back and immediately started calling and emailing all the folks that had orders and just saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Thank you for the support, but it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks for us to get this product out. And not even one person complained. Everyone's like, I'm just excited for you guys. This is a cool story. Like, when we get them type deal. And
Yeah.
it's just a really big hug, mostly from the state of Nebraska, saying, like, good job. Like,
Thanks for making this here.
yeah.
We're
Yeah.
here for you.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And it's never really, I mean, that's just been the vibe that I guess we feel from this side of things ever since.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So at what point did you go full time into this?
We haven't. So we're still
Okay.
both involved in different family businesses at different levels. And this is, we've just been fortunate to hire just some really good people to help us run this thing. So, yeah.
We've got extremely incredible and talented humans on our team, and it wouldn't work without them.
Incredible. So when did you move out of the back of your dad's building?
So we started out, we bolted a 8-foot old pallet makeshift workbench to the wall. And like, that was our corner. So we had like a corner with like 8 foot of each wall. And we just used that kind of, it worked, right?
Yeah.
I think we even screwed our old college beer pong table to the wall just for like some interior design stuff.
Yeah.
A good vibe.
Yeah. And so it was probably 2 years into that we had, so that'd put us, I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, not even, probably.
Yeah,
a
it put us
year
at
of
like
that.
2019.
Yeah.
So a year of that, and we had kind of like bombed the whole shop. Like, I would step in there with Dad put my refrigeration hat on, and you just look around, you're like, this is bullshit. Like, we've been kicked out of the shop by the copper shop. you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
and Handlebend's side took over basically the entire heated portion of the shop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Michael's dad, Tom, is like,
moved him
gotta
into
be
the cold-
thinking like,
the cold
what
side.
this doesn't, this is not how it works.
That's a nice supportive dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't care, but we're just like, the way this is going, like, we need our own space. And so started looking at different ways to acquire real estate around town to put up a small workshop, because that's really all we need. Everything's kind of streamlined, and it's like a miniature version of manufacturing to a certain standpoint. And it's just the same process. It's not like you need giant equipment or anything. And bought an old rundown building and cleared the lot on one of the highways in our main, or in our town here.
Yeah, that was during the time we were talking to the family that owned the current building that we're in.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, it was just going really slow. They didn't really want to sell it.
It was a hard no, like, it's
Yeah.
not for sale.
Got it.
Yep. And so we ended up buying that property and then cleared it off. And then I think a year into or maybe 6 months into conversations with them, like, we kind of told them what we're doing, like what our big picture is, and kind of our dream, I guess, for this building. And they kind of started wrapping their heads around the idea, and it looked like we might be able to make some progress with them. And so ended up having an opportunity to just sell that first lot, to a business that moved to town. It was a flooring business, actually, and just kept. Then it was like, we just got to go 100% on getting this thing done. So over the course of a year, kind of got their heads wrapped around our vision, and it was like, so this building was built by their family, the Shellhammers, back in the mid-40s. And it was a pretty, you look around this place at how it's built, and it was way overbuilt for its time. Had to have been the talk of the town, I think, just for what the project was back in those days. And so we bought it from Shellhammers, so it's been in their family, for all those years. And I think once they kind of saw that, I remember saying to to Kevin and Marilyn, I said, we don't have any intention of erasing, your family's history from this building. And on the contrary, our Handlebend brand has kind of been or become this, I guess the main thing we put our first foot forward with or are interested in promoting is like sitting down and slowing down and spending time with humans, kind of unplugging from technology and the rat race that our world has become. And so we said, on the contrary to that, like we're more interested in putting these stories of this building and what the purpose it served for our hometown, like putting them out there to the world, And so over 18 months, I would say, they kind of wrapped their heads around it, and we ended up getting the deal done kind of right at that 2-year mark, I think, from first contact.
And as soon as they gave us any inkling that they might be switching their position on not selling it, we went to work right away on like, okay, if they say yes, how would we physically do it, financially and physically do it? And so when they did say yes, we basically had the plan ready to rock. So
yeah, we closed. I think it was like, I don't remember if it was April 1st or April 30th. It was either the first or last day of the month, or 31st, whatever. We closed, and on that day, and then 8 months later was our grand opening for the place. So we had done a total gut job and a pretty extensive renovation and remodel of this building. And I've always said that's an absolute testament to Matt and kind of his organizational style and like just business mind, and like there's no wasted time with Matt. If you're working on something with him, it's just like click, 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 let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was you're kind of getting into this now, but you're remodeling a 14,000 square foot building in a town of 3,600 people, and the amount of cash that takes, like, you better be ready to go on some cash flow stuff, because I mean, it's hard to make that building worth that in a small town. So you got to be ready to rock and roll. So
you had an idea to bring some vendors in, because this is a huge space. It's an amazing building, but you don't need that much space. So what did you have some ideas of who you wanted to have in here, or how did you approach all of that?
Yeah.
So the idea was what we needed was a small workshop, which is roughly maybe not even a third of the building, but for easy numbers, we'll say it's a third of the square footage here. And so the original idea was to put together a cast of businesses that not necessarily work together, but like are complementing, kind of a customer that walks in the door for any one of the businesses, like everybody stands to benefit. I guess the rising tide floats all boats kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And so we just went to work on that and identified what those businesses could look like, and then started approaching people and kind of laying out our ideas and what we were doing. And it worked. So, and I think a lot of the reason, I've thought about it a lot since, I think the reason it has worked and is what's the fun story to tell anyway is, we're out here in small town Nebraska, and the narrative for 50 or 70 years has been that small town Nebraska is drying up. Main streets are in trouble from the local economy standpoint, and I think that community mentality is what thrives here in rural Nebraska and rural America, and I think it has to. I've said before, like, if we're not looking out for O'Neill, who is?
Yeah.
Because nobody else is.
Yeah.
You're from what, 4 or 5 hours away?
Yep.
And you've probably never heard of O'Neill, and I've never heard of the name of your small town.
Yeah, right.
And I'm a champion of small town America, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like we got to come together, and we got to work together, and we got to collaborate over compete.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So what year was that when you brought in the businesses and opened the building?
So we opened, our grand opening for the front of the building was
February 2020.
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so
got it.
just in time to close the
Just
doors
in
in
time
March.
for-
Oh man. Oh man.
So it was a rodeo for a while.
It was an absolute rodeo.
In a lot of different aspects, but COVID definitely threw some wrenches, but also threw some opportunities. So,
And
yeah.
what were those businesses that you brought in?
So we brought originally the concept was to bring in a brewery, coffee shop, and then the third thing was kind of up in the air, like what would go. Like we went from
Yep.
bakery to flower shop to roastery to like we were
Barbershop.
like just anything that would was good humans and could complement the other businesses. And so we ended up landing on the flower shop side of it, and then we had several offices in the middle section where there's a banquet area that people, when we started building the building out, people came to us saying, hey, can you guys build out some office space? And we're like, absolutely. We need all the cash flow we can get type deal. And then in the middle, we also built out a studio for 3 local photographers. One was doing more baby photography, one was doing families, and one was doing seniors. So that kind of rounded out, and then the back was the copper shop. So that rounded us off in the early stages of this, and then there's been multiple changes in the building since, but that's kind of still the vibe when you walk in the building.
Yeah. So as you've kept growing, you kind of decided maybe we need more of this space for ourselves. So now tell us kind of walk us through what the building is now if someone were to, like the tour you gave me.
Yeah, so the evolution, I guess, of our business has just been, it's just always changing.
Yeah.
And I think that has surprised me over the years. It's like, man, like we just always have something that's pressing and it's trying and it creates its own set of problems that we have to navigate and everything. But I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I think if you're static, like that's probably the beginning of the end, right? So we've had a little bit of change. The flower and gift shop is up there still. It's actually a different company
Okay.
than we started with, which was just a product of basically terrible timing. And it started out as not a local business. It was kind of a mess, but regardless, now we have a locally owned, it's 2 gals, just a bit younger than Matt and I, that are operating their business out of there. The coffee shop we have put under our brand now. So the behind the bar portion of that front retail space, it is the coffee shop, and the Handlebend tap is what we started out with there. So it's the bar, and it just flows kind of together, and it's a lot more seamless now. I guess rewind a minute. There was a brewery originally going to go in there throughout the renovation of this building and the business planning, right? It was a brewery that was in a town west of O'Neill, and that was the plan. And I think it was 3 weeks before our grand opening.
Under a month.
Yeah, that guy, the owner over there, he had been crunching numbers, and I think it was a production issue and stuff. And anyway, he came over here one evening. It was like 10 at night, and Matt and I were, it was in the middle of the winter. Matt and I were in here working on some projects, trying to get this place finished up and ready. And he sits down and says he's not going to be able to do it, and kind of effectively bailed. And we're just like, he left that night, and it's like middle of the night in our building. We've just sank hundreds of thousands of dollars into, and we've been burning the candle at both ends for 6 or 8 months. And I mean, it was like wind out of the sails type of deal. It's like, what are we gonna do? And I remember he left, and we're just sitting there staring at each other, Matt and I, and so what about this deal? And Matt's like, let's just talk about it tomorrow. And I left. It's
good idea.
Yep. It's like 11:30 or midnight. I'm driving home, and I'm just east of town on the highway, and it's to this day the biggest shooting star / comet I've ever seen, like streaks across the entire sky, like the entire horizon in front of me. And it just, I had spent that whole quiet drive home, just kind of, my mind was reeling, like, this is a disaster. What are we going to do? And that happened, and it just like instantly put me at peace. And I'm like, I don't know what or why or how yet, but like, it's going to be okay. Went home, slept like a baby, and 3 weeks later, we kind of crashed course this thing and had this like upscale kind of bar concept with mules and cocktails and Nebraska craft beer slapped together, and found a manager. And like, looking back, it was absolutely a blessing in disguise.
Wow.
Like, this has been a lot better for our brand to have that, kind of that community, that community building space on Main Street of our hometown. Like, at the end of the day, it's like a brand asset for our copper, business. It's just a place to put into effect, kind of what's become the backbone of our brand, which is building community and spending time with good humans.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy part about that is we were only thinking that there has to be a brewery up here. That's what people want. That's the vibe of the building.
It is the vibe of the building.
And then we get 3 months into running the bar under the Handlebend brand, and like 80% of the drinks sold up front are out of our copper mugs in mule form. We're like, duh. Like, why wouldn't that be the case?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
So
we have way overthought that.
Yeah. So anyway,
It all worked out.
Yeah.
What has the response been from the community?
It's been overwhelmingly good. We had terrible timing when we opened in the winter of 2020.
Yeah.
And O'Neill has, for the most part, come out of the woodwork to support us. And when we were doing this project, we got the building and we're doing this project, and people, like I would say most people in our hometown knew about our copper mug business, but didn't really have any idea that it was a mostly online business. And I don't think at all, like maybe even still, have an idea of the volume we're doing in copper. And so the word gets out that, Mike and Matt bought this building, and they, you can see from the street the scope of the size of the project. And actually, I got this term from Normal Roasting down in Burwell. We were kind of building a relationship with those guys back in this same time period, and kind of commiserating on this outside the box type of project in small town Nebraska, and they talked about sad eyes. And it's the idea of, like, I'd be in the grocery store and people'd be asking me questions about what we're doing, and they'd like look at you with these sad, like, pitiful eyes, and they'd just be like, oh, I really hope that works for you guys, and then kind of like exit the conversation with their shopping cart. And so it's just, that's been kind of the story of it. And O'Neill has seen, I think O'Neill now wraps their minds around the vision that started this place, and then also now the vision of like what it means for our small town to have this kind of thing, this kind of space to build community. I mean, you come in here on a Saturday night at 9:00, and there's the place is full of people laughing. Nobody's messing with their phones. There might be a couple packs of little kids running around. It's like past their bedtime, and I mean, it's a bar, but it's not a bar.
Right.
And it's just this place where you got maybe 9 or 10 or 15 or 16-year-olds hanging out with 70 and 75-year-olds. And it's just a wonderful thing for our community.
And I would have to imagine this is drawing people from well beyond your community at this point.
Yeah, we knew, like, early on that if this thing was going to work, it was going to work from money outside of Holt County. Like, we had to figure out how to draw income from outside of Holt County, and so and we have. I mean, the traffic on Highway 20 is crazy, and the amount of out of town folks that are in this building on a daily basis still blows us away.
Wow.
Well, and then there's the piece too. So there is the, it's a main highway, but then there's the piece too that we have, our copper brand that is a mostly, I would say, online business. And it's kind of flipped the narrative on that whole, like, corporate America is sucking dollars out of, off of Main Street in small town America. Mm-hmm. It's like the inverse of that. It's like we're gathering dollars from all over the United States with our copper business and bringing them to this brick and mortar store and to our home, hiring people and paying people with those dollars on Main Street of our hometown. So it's kind of this beautiful, like, flip, I guess, if you will.
I love it. So what's next for you guys?
Just keep hanging on by the white of our knuckles. No, we had another. I jokingly always call our ideas bad ideas, because in retrospect, it's always I guess surprising, like, how much work all of this takes. You look back and you're like, man, this has been really hard. But you look forward, and the new ideas are always exciting, right? So you just dive into them.
Yeah.
But probably a year and a half ago, I think it kind of started out in pretty lighthearted, joking terms about maybe building a copper still, like a whiskey still. And we kicked it around a little bit, and then, obviously we were talking about maybe building a prototype still and using that to launch, like, maybe a still manufacturing piece, right? Mm-hmm. Started looking into it, and that turned into lighthearted talks about a distillery, and how, whiskey and spirits could fit with our brand. So that was kind of what we started leaning into, that concept a little bit. I remember the phrase that got said around the table with Matt and Bryce and I was, well, if we're going to make whiskey, it has to be in a copper still, because we're a copper shop. Mm-hmm. And if we buy a copper or a stainless steel still, having built a copper brand, like, it's not real cool. It's not real authentic, I should say. And the phrase that I remember being put out there was, well, how hard could it be? And we're all like, yeah, like, people have been building stills, like, in the backwoods for, centuries. How hard could it be? And that was like over a year ago. And in the last 14 to 16 months, we have absolutely figured out how hard it can be. And it's extremely difficult. So that's the latest endeavor. And we're probably 3 months from having, I think we have solved all of the major problems in building this still, and we're probably 3 months from having it complete and ready to make whiskey. We're waiting on, the federal licensing and that kind of stuff. And then as you saw, we've built out the physical distillery space, and I think probably by first quarter of 2025, we will be making spirits here.
Awesome.
At what will probably be dubbed as Coppertown Distillery, I think.
I love that. You already have it on your merch, and I saw that. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. What advice would you have for somebody in a small town who's got a dream to maybe build something, or maybe they're at the stage where they're getting the sad eyes?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Man, it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
But there's also, there's a lot of folks out there rooting for you, and there's a lot of programs that you can reach out to, through economic development and your city programs, and that can help you get some of this stuff done and help it look a little more feasible. So I would just say, like, do the work on, reaching out and figuring out where you can get some mostly financial help, and then also reach out to folks that have already done it and get some help, and they'll be cheerleaders for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, in the grand scheme of things, on an entrepreneurial venture or a business launch, like number one, above all else, you've got to have a good idea.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're diving into it, probably your idea is good. Along the way, just like Matt referenced, like you're gonna encounter so many obstacles and hurdles. And you just, number one, you got to roll your sleeves up, and you got to live in a space that's outside the box. Mm-hmm. Like nobody made anything cool from like agreeing with the masses, right?
Yeah.
And then an extension of that is you're going to get a lot of support and a lot of, yeah, that's awesome, man. You're going to get a very little bit of, you're an idiot, like this will never work, like you're dumb, good luck.
Yeah.
Like that's a small percentage, but it's the stuff that like stays the loudest in your head,
yes.
right? And I think that might be one of the hardest things to stay above, is like it feels like the whole world is telling you, no, this is not going to work. Like you don't have my support. Like I think this is a bad idea, but it's a very, very small percentage of what's actually going on. It's so hard to keep that out of your mind, though.
It is, yes.
And so I think that's the biggest thing. If you can figure out a way to process that and dismiss it for what it is, it's 1% of people, and lean into, the 99% that got your back and that are ready to jump into it with you and support you. It's just going to set you up for more success.
Yeah. So good. Well, guys, how does everybody follow along and order their mugs online?
Yeah, we just handlebend.com.
Okay.
And you can see us on the socials too. But handlebend.com's got some cool stuff on it, so check it out.
Very good.
Check that out. And I think the cooler version of that answer is to stop by and have a beer.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a
Or
lot
a
of
mule.
fun. Yeah, or a mule. Yeah, mule.
You know what? I do want to ask you, what's your favorite drink in a copper mug? Is it a mule? Is it something else that you've...
So we have come up with many, many mules. We have kind of our base menu, and then launch 2 or 3 seasonal drinks, quarterly. By far, our biggest hit was probably launched 3 or 4 years ago in the springtime, and it's been dubbed the Lemon Blues. It's a lemon blueberry mule, and it's been like local viral material, right? Like we've developed a small clothing line and merch line around Lemon Blues, and it's been a lot of fun. That's by far been the most popular Handlebend drink. My probably favorite would be a gin Ricky. So it's like a bougie version of a gin and tonic from back in the like Prohibition era.
Nice.
That's what this place has taught me to like.
Yeah. If I'm going to drink a mule, it's going to be just like a whiskey mule.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. And you even have a couple of recipes on your website, right?
Yeah.
Do I remember that right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We need to get more consistent with that.
Not the Lemon Blues one, though.
No, you got to come here for that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. I'm so inspired by what you're doing. And I know a bunch of people listening will be as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming up.
Yeah.
This is the fun part of this whole what Handlebend has become. It's just spending real time with real people, and it's just been wild, the relationships that we've built that never would have happened without this startup and this brand, and that's absolutely the beautiful part of it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you again soon, hopefully, in O'Neill, Nebraska. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible business these guys have built. It was so fun visiting there, and I love their focus on community and their intentionality around expanding and growing this business. I know there's so much more to come from Matt and Michael, so be sure to go give them a follow. And if you're looking for a great Christmas gift, a Handlebend mug makes for a great gift. You'll find this and other ideas on our Rule Makers and Creators gift list. Check out the show notes for the link or go to our website for more. Huge thanks to Michael and Matt for being on the podcast, and thanks to you for tuning in. Have a great day, everybody.